Hey guys, I'm really excited to be talking about macronutrients. I've been doing a little bit of a series about simple nutrition, how to keep these things simple. I know that you hear all sorts of information and it can sound really complicated. So today I'm talking about carbs. Bad for you, right? Right? That's the question. I think a lot of diets, traditional diets, give carbs a bad name. There's a lot of low carb, no carb diets out there, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons. Carbohydrates make up a large portion of our diet, and for some of us, more than others. And there are a wide variety of foods. Now, there's two different types of carbohydrates. There's simple and there's complex. And simple and complex, the difference is how it's digested and how it's absorbed, usually how fast. A simple carb is something like a sugar or a liquid, think pop, or here's the one I could find in my cupboard, maple syrup. So that's a carbohydrate that's simple. It's going to go straight into your bloodstream within 10 minutes and create an insulin response. So that's one that's absorbed really fast. Carbs give us energy. That's a good thing. They give us energy. They help build our brain. They help us hold fluid, especially in our muscles. So you can't really build muscle on a really, really low carb diet because the muscle needs to have some fluid around it, the cell walls. So they need to have some fluid in there to kind of build them up. So carbs are really necessary to have, not necessarily simple carbs. So simple carbs are liquid sugars, pops, my maple syrup here, that sort of thing. The other thing I thought of was like sauces, barbecue sauce. Those are considered liquid sugars. Going to give you an insulin response, going to be digested super fast and get into your bloodstream really fast. That's a shot of energy really fast that you're going to have a crash. The second type is a complex carb. So complex carbs have a whole lot more fiber. So if you're not really sure, and I'll tell you, I wasn't even really sure about this one. So they say that complex carbs are whole grain, but they also have fiber. So this one has, and always read your labels if you're not really sure. It has 29 grams of carbohydrates, 10 grams of sugar, and only 1 gram of fiber. I'm leaning towards thinking this has been processed enough and added sugar that it's actually kind of a simple carb. So also another example of carbs. There's really good carbs that have lots of fiber. Here's my gigantic sweet potato. Isn't that enormous? It has fiber, it has starch, it also has sugars. It is an excellent carb, packed full of nutrients. That's going to be digested much slower than something like this, or definitely something like, oops, like that. Also a really excellent carb, complex carb, broccoli. Broccoli is a beautiful thing, full of nutrients, has a little protein, has a little iron, has lots of good stuff in there that you want. Complex carb, lots of fiber, gonna slow down your absorption, and really good for you. Sugar snap peas. So I'll just list you a few of the things that they said would be complex carbs. So carrots, rice, because it's a whole grain, fruits, nuts, beans, oats, peas, rice, whole grain bread. So here's a difference. Simple carb, white bread. Not much fiber in there to slow down your digestion or your absorption. That's a simple carb. Doesn't have the whole grain. Whole grain bread, it has a whole lot more fiber. Gonna slow down how it's digested and how it's absorbed. So that's a complex carb. So in summary, what I'm going to say is carbs are not bad. Carbs are necessary for life. So you definitely need some carbohydrates in your diet. A lot of people talk going low carb. And what I like to say is go low refined sugar. Cut out liquid sugar out of your diet. That's fruit juices. That's pop. That's, hopefully you're not drinking the maple syrup. Liquid sugars, so cut those out. That's where you're going to find a benefit is if you cut back on the simple carbs, not the complex carbs. Don't cut back on your very fibrous veggies. They're going to be just good for you. So I want you to add more complex carbs in and less of the simple ones. A really good example of this, and I'm from I know this is going to be controversial. I think fruit's okay. Fruit has fiber in it and is going to slow down the insulin response. So the difference between a cup of apple juice, simple carb, and an apple, complex carb, is that it's absorbed and digested slower. An apple's going to fill you up because of the fiber. Whereas the juice is going to go straight into your bloodstream, give you an insulin response. Boom, energy. But you're going to crash from it. An apple's going to be slower release of that energy. So hopefully that keeps things simple. Carbs are not bad. And instead of counting carbs or cutting out carbs, it's a really good idea to cut back on simple carbs and liquid sugars. So next time you feel like counting carbs, count your sugar grams because that's more important. Don't cut out your fibrous veggies. Hopefully that helped with some simple nutrition and made things a little bit easier to understand for you. And that's my spiel about carbohydrates.